Backwards. There we go.
How do you stop this?
It's always the awkward thing. Well, maybe you can just tell people watching a little bit about what it's like to work with a composer on a new piece, especially someone who maybe doesn't play the organ and isn't familiar with all the ins and outs of the organ. What is that like for you?
Well, it's always an interesting challenge for me as an organist because people are used to writing for the piano, for example, so they come to the organ thinking maybe it can be like a piano, but then it's not. Or maybe it's like an orchestra, but then it's a keyboard instrument as well. So you have this flexibility with an instrument this large, but at the same time you need to know how to make it sound good. So the first thing I try to do with any composer is to really just go through the entire instrument, like we did when we first sat down, and just so you really understand how it works, really, and what's the meat behind this machine of an instrument, and how does it really function, and then you can make music with it.
Like you were mentioning, we were working last night on this, and I got to see a little bit of all the choices where for someone, maybe a more traditional instrumentalist, we see what's on the page, and it's more or less a fairly good indication of what the composer is asking us to do. But when we were working last night, you were having to make all sorts of decisions in context of what you saw on the page to try to guess at what the composer was getting at, but you have so many options.
Right.
You were having to decide what you wanted to do. How does one develop an ear for that, or is that just something that you become familiar enough with the instrument, or?
I think that comes with time. Knowing the instrument itself helps, obviously, because basically what Philip's talking about is choosing the different registrations or the different stops that the organ has, and how do we make this sound good, particularly with a piece that no one's ever heard before. I haven't even heard it. The composer's never heard it on the organ before. So how do you make it sound convincing? And in this case, working with a cello, it's a matter of balancing with you, knowing how to overtake you when I need to, but then knowing how to be behind you and support you at the same time. With the organ, you have so many different tonal colors, from very high pitches to low pitches to different reedy sounds to flute sounds. All sort of mutational sounds and everything like that. So you've got to know how to mix them. And what sounds good, basically, it's basically what sounds good. Use your ear. If it sounds terrible, don't do it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Take that out, that was terrible.
Well, thank you, Alessandro.
Thank you so much.
Looking forward to keep continuing to work and performing this piece.
Yeah, likewise. It's going to be great. Like that. Okay, that'll be 2, and that's dun, 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 dun.